So, you guys, tonight I finally bring you that goddamn topic from Twitter that happened back in July 29th. Basically, it's about tipping, and I'm not sure if I've ever made a tipping topic officially, but I feel like I have mentioned it a couple times. So, let's make this more of an official tip topic. On July the 28th, there was this girl who tweeted, I just got a $0 tip on $250 check. I still have to tip out 6%. I sincerely don't know what the meaning of tipping out means, but evidently it means that she has to pay for something. I'm paying to serve that table in the Florida heat. Please fix our broken tipping system. I'm begging you. To which I agree. I agree that tipping is something abominable. I've never understood why that is a thing. I first learned about tipping being very minimally paid when my mom told me that someone told her when she went out on a date to a restaurant that tips are actually what the waiter makes. And me and her were actually appalled because we really didn't know that it truly was that bad, that they only had a minimum of like $2 or something. And at first we were a little skeptical, but we didn't have a reason to believe that someone wouldn't say the truth about that. So when I heard that, I told myself, well, I know in the future not to get a server job. It doesn't make sense. I need stability. I need to know what I can count on. So this topic blew up after the response that I left. I mean, blew up at me, as in I was getting a lot of replies. I will not reply back to any of the newer responses that I never addressed because I feel like in the first couple of exchanges I said everything that I could possibly desire to say. There were people telling me stupid shit here, attacking me personally and all that stuff. I haven't read the replies beyond the last reply that I left, and I will try to mark where the end of my actual interaction here concludes. If I have anything substantial to add, I may, but I want to leave it here on the record that happened. That way, it is my fondest hope that nobody deleted their answers or their accounts, so that it can be recorded here for posterity. But also, I don't want to reply here because I said what I wanted to say, and honestly, I prefer to make a video about it anyway, and I'm not going to tell these motherfuckers that I created a video. Maybe they'll stumble upon it, maybe not. So let's get started. My fateful reply was, I don't tip at all because it's always felt like extortion. Be transparent about what cost is for everything on the menu and beyond. But for me to get the grand total and on top of that be asked for more, it feels misleading. Me personally, it is very, very, very hard for me to be impressed. That's one. And second, I personally never go to a restaurant and sit down by myself and eat at a restaurant. And the places that I may do that at, I do so more for the Wi-Fi, and it's one of those places where you have your order prepared and they holler your name or number and you get your ass up, go to the front, pick up your tray, and then sit yourself. There is absolutely no service involved. Nobody's bringing my food to me. Nobody is bringing me my drinks. It's I am serving myself. So a place like that, I wouldn't leave a tip. If I ever do eat out, like the stuff that you guys may see me record about, if I'm recording about it and I am outside the restaurant recording it, it means that I must have ordered online to grab and go. So if I'm doing that, if I'm driving my personal car all the way out there and I'm stepping out and I'm grabbing my stuff and I'm leaving, fuck no, I'm not going to leave a tip because the whole point of leaving tips should be for the full service experience. At Starbucks, I have never in my life left a tip and I never will. because these folks are behind the counter. I'm already paying for the cost of my drink, which is super overpriced. You're not bringing it out to me. You're doing nothing else. Why would I tip you? So bear that in mind. The first reply I got to this was, I kind of dislike Twitter sometimes because the threads can kind of like branch out. So it's very possible I'm going to miss some responses, but I'm going to do my best. This is going to be a super long video, so I apologize for that. A woman named Amanda treats me like I'm satanic or something. And she goes, for you to go to a restaurant that you know, in all caps, tipping is a part of the experience and not tip is gross. If you are going to a fine dining experience that you know tipping is expected, it's not misleading at all. You're just being cheap. Go to McDonald's then. To which I say, bitch! First of all, when you say that tipping is part of an experience and I'm not tipping, therefore it's gross for me to do so, you gotta understand one very basic thing. Tipping is optional, especially if I'm a one-woman party. Now, there are places that usually, if you have a party of 6 or more, in some places it's 8 or more, I think, I forget, I don't give a fuck, because I'm always like on a 1 to 3 people party. Sometimes they include the gratuity. They say on the bottom of the receipt, for parties that are 6 or more people, an 18% gratuity is automatically included. What I would do in a situation like that is encourage everybody to pay for their own thing. And that's the way I would do it anyway, because I cannot imagine a life in which I invite everybody and I'm going to be responsible for the entire check. That's just not happening. It's not something I do. For me, my party is usually of 2 people, and that's it. And if you do something that leaves me impressed, I may leave a tip. But like I've said before, it's very hard to impress me because very rarely do I get service that I can justify leaving a tip for. Sometimes I am brought my stuff and I have manners and courtesy and shit, and you bring me the menu, you come back, you take my order. You're not even the one bringing me the order out. Sometimes it's someone from the kitchen or another server or something bringing me my stuff out. And then you may come back once more to be like, can I get you something else? Do you need a refill or something? And that's it. And sometimes I don't even see y'all except 2 times. You sit me down, which isn't usually my server. You sit me down, you give me the menu, you take my order, and sometimes you disappear until it's time to give me my ticket to pay. I'm not impressed. No, I cannot justify leaving you a tip of any sort. Period. Give me service that reminds me of me or is better than the service I would give, and then we can talk. And it's stupid that she says, you're just being cheap. You don't know my situation either. The sole fact that I went out of all of the choices that I had for food, and I decided to spend my money in that manner, I'm already doing my part of contributing to the economy and the business. Go to McDonald's. Like, McDonald's is supposed to be offensive. I don't know about you guys, but McDonald's has actually leveled up their game in recent years. Sending me to McDonald's is not even an insult. I reply, nah, they need to do away with tipping and establish it as an expectation of the bill, and also not be an open denomination. What if I tip below 18%? It's extortion, and pay is maybe a conversation tipped workers need to have with their managers. I have always been of that belief. So to that, I get a response from some random weirdo saying they sent that little GIF, however you pronounce it, and they say, good luck if you ever try to go to the same place twice. And then I said, fortunately, I don't rely on eating out, but if people are that offended by their pay, they should consider becoming an hourly wage worker. Maybe we need to stop filling in the server jobs if we don't agree with whoops, I accidentally typed hour and it's supposed to be how they're paid. Some other guy named Michael goes, "You got that backwards. Stop supporting restaurants if you disapprove of how they pay the staff. You're giving money to the restaurant while screwing over the staff you think are already underpaid. How is this helping?" And I'm like, did I create the rules? I'm the customer. They're providing me with food. I treat going out to eat as if I were going to a grocery store, grabbing something from the frozen aisle, and paying for it, going into my car, going home, and heating it. The only difference here is that I am paying an inflated price because I am paying for the service of someone cooking it for me. And I'm perhaps using some of your dishes, and someone is going to do the cleanup after me. If there's anybody I should consider giving a tip to, it would be the cook. If they do something extraordinary, if for some reason the way they prepare it, the way they cook it is just extremely impressive that it cannot be replicated. But in some cases, all that a cook is doing is pretty much removing something from a wrapper, putting it on a stove, flipping it a few times, and that's it. Technically, I could do that, but I want to indulge in the convenience of not having to do that at home. I want to save myself the mess, the cleanup, the time of me doing that. Convenience. For that response, I said, hold on, let me find my spot. I know I said something that goes, "Are we prepared to address that problem?" I must have sent multiple tweets, but for some reason it got lost. Yeah, for some reason, maybe the person deleted those tweets because this is what it looks like for me. It goes, some of these tweets may contain sensitive content or offensive, but I'm not finding it. But my original response that I recall was something along the lines of what I just described. It's like, well, I'm the customer. Why are you guys upset at me? Like, I decided that that was going to be the way that workers were going to be paid and shit. The reason I said something like, "Are we prepared to address that problem?" is because this guy, I remember leaving the reply that I'm giving money to the restaurant that's screwing over the staff. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but what if I, along with thousands of other people, collectively decide to not go to this restaurant anymore? Sure, we're gonna drive it out of business because we're not spending the money there, but wouldn't that make you upset anyway that we were not going out to eat and support that restaurant because now these workers are going to lose the very job that you're mad at me that I'm not tipping them over? So are we prepared to deal with that problem, with the problem that A, I'm not stimulating the economy anymore, and B, we, people like me, are driving this restaurant to extinction because we're not giving it money. And the first thing to go may be some people. Usually, the way that businesses cut back on costs is by laying off people because the human resource tends to be the most expensive bill to pay. That got some replies, but unfortunately, they have been lost. We're going to continue here. Let's see if it shows up on this page instead. And then someone else said, I found this random reply. Yeah, it's gonna be really hard for me to find all of the respective responses. But someone else left a comment about, and if every server, because 99% don't like the pay they make hourly, stops being a server, who's going to take care of you when you decide to go to a restaurant and eat out? LMAO, people like you are a part of the problem. I think she's replying to me, and to me that's just weird because sure, if servers decide to quit, you know who's gonna help me when I go out to a restaurant? I open the door to the restaurant. I walk into the restaurant. I go to the register and I say, "Hey, I would like to order a freaking steak." The person on the register can charge me for it, hand that receipt to the cook, and the cook can do the cooking. When the cooking is over, the person at the register can be like, order 29. And then I hear that that's my number. I get up, I go get it, and I go sit myself. You all act like this is a burden for me. I'm not a fucking lazy ass fat ass who needs to have someone walk over to my table to bring me my drinks, bring me my plate, bring me my check. I'm perfectly capable of getting up and doing that myself. That's why I have legs. Fortunately, my legs still function. The way I look at this is the restaurant staff is there in this manner so that I pick up the bill of paying them for something that's not necessary. I propose this. How about if I walk into the restaurant and you ask me, hey, would you like to be served by a person, or can you be self-servant? You know how we have self-checkouts and shit at supermarkets now? You have the option of going to a human register. You have the option of going to a self-serve register. Why are we not tipping cashiers? By that standard, this is a person ringing up my groceries when if I go to self-checkout, I still am going to have the same price, and the machine is not asking me for a tip. At the register, I am not asking you for a tip. So how is that any different? I'm providing a service. And then someone replied, just get a better job then, to that person who left me the 99% reply. And let's see if I can find additional replies. Rosie robots, we installed them as a test run in Chili's as buzzers, with some small modifications and additional sensors on a ceiling. All buzzers and servers can be replaced with tap to pay and kiosk on a table to order and a robot buzzer. I've heard of, I think it was some kind of Asian restaurant where they have what look like train tracks above you, and then plates are just sliding down these freaking amusement park kind of slides. But I don't know if those are still a thing. I would imagine that they have a fancied up version of that, so I don't know. I don't care. This person who posted that whole Rosie robots also added, this isn't some nonsense I'm spitting out either. That industry is toast in under a decade. Most mom and pop restaurants are done for too as cashless society becomes the normative. Just an observation being in the field repairing the tech. People go out for an experience. A robot will never be able to imitate a good server. I can agree with that. It was some other girl who left that reply. And then someone else left a reply. Then we just won't eat out. Very simple. The bill you give me is the bill I'm going to pay. It's that simple. Exactly. I agree with that. And then someone replied to that person saying that and said, then don't eat out if you are incapable of not being an asshole about it. That doesn't make any sense. Me not tipping is not a show of assholery. You know what would be a show of assholery? Me being rude to a server, especially being rude if they decide to, I don't know, ask if I wish to leave a tip or something when they're at the register, and then I say no, and then they start clowning on me. I will be like, we're not discussing that, thank you. I'm not going to engage with strangers. I get in arguments with people I actually know in person, people who are actually a part of my personal life, like boyfriends or mothers or brothers, stuff like that. Sure, I can get in an argument with that, or extremely close best friends. We can argue, but like stranger ass motherfuckers who I'm only dealing with for cumulatively maybe 5 to 10 minutes of my day, psst, hell no. Let's see, someone else told me that I am merely cheap. I hate that people say that I'm cheap, because I'm like, I'm sorry that I don't have a bottomless pocket and that an optional act I'm deciding to not partake in. What's so demonic about that on my part? Okay, there's someone sensical here. And by sensical, of course, it means you agree with my point. Someone by the name of JG left a reply describing tipping is outdated, only became popular when slaved became free because owners didn't want to pay. The only cheap ones are the restaurants not being able to pay their employees correctly. Thank you. That is why I said in my initial responses that this is a conversation they need to have with their managers. You have to get comfortable with discussing pay with your managers. Period. And then the same woman, Christine, says tipping is still the major way servers are paid in the US. If you don't want to tip, do fast food or cook yourself. Otherwise, you're just being cheap. And see, that's what I hate, that you think that you're being offensive or you have an extremely valid point by saying that I'm being cheap. Well, I mean, don't we all desire to participate in things as economically as possible? Also, you don't know my situation. For me, to eat out is a massive privilege. And for me, some of my outings I have to plan for some time in some cases, especially if I'm anticipating a time when my finances get tight. There are seasons in which my finances genuinely become more challenging than normal. What's most ironic to me is that these motherfuckers are attacking me, and I'm actually a member of that society. If I were not an hourly low wage worker, my other only choice would probably be to serve as well. And if I were serving, as painful as the system is, I would still be of this opinion. It's like, hey, I'm not going to be mad at you if you cannot tip me, because I know what it's like to be in your situation where that may be out of your reach. Now, some people are able to give, some people just aren't. And who am I to demand from you that you pay me when you can't? Me as a cashier, there's stuff that I do that is way me going out of my way for my customer. And after I'm done serving them, I'm not like, so where's my tip? And the reason I don't do that is because I am very comfortable with the idea of simply serving. And I serve without expecting anything, whether I'm being paid or not paid. And I think that that is an attitude that this country needs a lot of help with. And on top of that, I cannot accept tips in the first place. So you be grateful that you actually have a system in which you are allowed to get tips anyway, because there are a lot of us out here performing what I consider to be stellar work that ought to be additionally compensated, but we just ain't. How do you think that makes me feel? And then this person, JG, I'm just going to keep loving on her comments. She says, that sounds like the restaurant's problem and not mine. You know what literally every other person does when they don't get paid enough? They get a new job. Exactly. Like, if you know that that's the way that you're going to be paid as a server and you're desiring stability, how about if you sign up for a job in which you have a degree of stability with how much you're paid and you can anticipate how much you're going to be paid? But there's a side of me that theorizes that people still decide to serve, not because that's the only option they have, but because occasionally we hear of that story of the $1,000 tipper, which, let's say that you just went out for a burger and a salad and you serve this customer, and for some reason this customer leaves you with the $100 tip, $500 tip, the $20 tip, the $50 tip, that $1,000 tip, that $10,000 tip. Maybe you hope that that's going to happen to you, especially if you're out at a fine dining restaurant. It's possible that you're going to go your whole career with that not happening. But I think that these people are also upset at the fact that they assume that I go out to fine dining restaurants, which the original tweet author was serving at a fine dining restaurant, or maybe she served a huge party and it amounted to 250. Even then, I just know that if I was having a $250 meal, and let's say that somehow I'm feasting by myself, it's very likely that I may still not leave a tip, because I don't find that justified. I came here to pay the price that I saw on the menu. Outside of that, hidden costs are a form of extortion. I don't care how else you put it. I don't care how else you describe it. Nobody will ever convince me that tips are not extortion. Let's see. I think that is the end of that thread. I'm not going to reply. I just acknowledged the responses from the person I was agreeing with. Let's see. Someone randomly, I say randomly because he's not responding to any thread. Well, he's responding to that first Amanda lady who left me the really attitudinal, really mean tweet. I describe it as mean, but whatever. This person goes, you people have massive brain rot. US is just about only country where tipping is viewed as mandatory. In the rest of the world, it's simply used to indicate that the service was excellent. If the service wasn't excellent, throwing extra money at it is peak cuckoldry. I agree with that. So I'm going to acknowledge that reply. Let's see. Let's keep scrolling. Okay, this person was the most sensical person to engage with. I remember from the picture and the name. We were agreeing, but also disagreeing, but ultimately agreeing. But because people are very superficial and they only focus on the thought that I can express in 240 characters, a lot just goes missed. So hear this person out. This individual, LB, left a reply that goes, in America, servers typically make $2.13 per hour, which is ludicrous. This is for when you actually eat out. Tipping $0 in America when eating out is ridiculous, and they should not be eating out unless the restaurant posts that they pay adequately, which is rare. And for that, let me see if I can find the thread of replies that I left. Because man, this was a very nice conversation with this person, but if I'm not finding the thread, it's possible that she deleted it. But she was actually nice. God, I really hope I find it. Bummer, I can't find it. Okay, all I see is the threads with insults in it, which affect me by negative 100%. Oh man, I'm sad that I can't find that thread. Why is Twitter doing this? Maybe I can find it if I go under my own profile. Let's see. I may need to do some scrolling. Fortunately, this is a video I can edit later. But unfortunately, I do have a tendency of leaving many replies because I like to participate in some topics I see. And this was like back in July 29th, so I have to keep going. I keep treating this like it's a stream. I don't have to comment while I go. Yeah, I'll keep going. I should be able to find it. Yeah, I'm disappointed that people do not know how to respectfully express dissent. I saw the rain of insults directed at me, and I'm like, you fuckers be grateful that I don't give a damn. This is the kind of stuff I guess people take personal enough to where they are run out of the social network. But yeah, I'm not someone who like chickens out or leaves a social network because I'm getting a lot of replies and stuff. I'm not intimidated. Okay, July 29th. Here we are. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, there was that really cool guy too who is a foreigner. Okay, here it is. Okay, here, I found it. That lady, LB, somebody replied to her before I got to her, and this person says, I really don't understand this comment. For over 20 years, my wife worked as a server and bartender. Her annual income ranged from $50,000 to $70,000. Maybe there are parts of America that still pay this little, but I don't know where. And then I replied to him saying, it's pretty convoluted. I think everyone should be classified as a minimum wage hourly worker unless for some reason your role is salaried. All I ask is when I eat out, whether sit in, but especially When taking out, do not ask for tips. Price I see posted is what I expect to pay. I left many more replies to sensible people who I could actually have engagements that were fruitful with. But unfortunately, the people who were throwing the insults at me, I am sure they did not look beyond that first tweet that I left under this topic. So they have no idea where I'm coming from, and they're not trying to find out where I'm coming from. So LB says, I totally agree that they should be paid more. I think that is her point, actually. Fixing the system would fix the problem, but currently, no one should expect to eat out and not tip under the current system. Hope that makes sense. And she left a little emoji. And then there seemed to be more replies under that. I'm sure that I left more replies because I remember telling her, hey, I'm actually on the server side. Like, I completely agree with her. I'm not disagreeing with her. I'm just saying why I don't tip from the get-go, no matter what type of restaurant I go to. Let's see. Let me see if I can load the rest. It's not loading for me. I think I'll be able to find. Aha. Okay, so to that, I responded with, see, what I'm saying is paying the worker should be part of the bill. I'm already paying the bills for menu items. I would expect that the worker and utilities and napkins, etc. is also tallied there. I gotcha, trust me. I tip if I can, but if I keep tipping, I'm saying I'm okay with it. So eventually left a reply that goes, I speak with my money. Money is my power. So I'm not going to tip, because if I start to tip, then I'm saying that I agree with the system of tipping, and I don't, and I am not afraid of boycotting. But then she said, rightfully so, she said that by me doing that, I'm hurting the worker too. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but someone somewhere has to take the L. If you want to see change, someone is going to have to lose. Someone is going to have to suffer. In this case, it may be the worker, even though that's not what I want. We want to see the business suffer instead, but who's starting the fight? Who's starting the battle? Who's starting that movement? It's never gonna change as long as we keep supporting the tipping system. The restaurants are going to continue to get away with this. I think I'm the one fighting the battle better by refusing to pay that should be part of the menu already. When you go to a grocery store and you don't tip the cashier, or when you go to like any retail store and you don't tip the cashiers there, that has been accounted for in the price of your crackers, the price of any item at the store at all that you decide to go for. That's already tallied there. Why can you not do the same for restaurants? If I'm paying $16 for a fucking burger, why isn't two of those dollars allocated to the worker, and then $1 allocated to the napkins I'm going to use, and then $1 for the straw, and $1 for the utility bill, and $1 for the cook, and one. See what I mean? Since when did accounting become my responsibility? That is literally all I'm trying to express to these motherfuckers here. But nobody possesses or is willing to perform that critical thinking unless I express it. And that disappoints me. Let's see. And then that person left a reply going, you are punishing the server for something they don't control. Stay home. Again, if I stay home and a bunch of others like me stay home, eventually this restaurant may stop functioning. Then what? You stop having your restaurant, I stop having my restaurant, the worker doesn't have a job, and we lose a business. Small business. The heartbeat of America. To that, I replied with, nah, what the server needs to do is talk it out with management and ask why the system has to exist in the first place and move toward becoming hourly wage workers like the rest of us. And then she said, in all caps, again, stay home. And then someone else said, damn, all of a sudden the system is fixed. Tipping is now solved. And then James James Belkin says, oh please, the servers like the tipping system. New York restaurants tried shifting to no tipping and paid FOH and BOH higher wages, but FOH got angry and quit because they make more with tips. Almost every restaurant that tried it reverted back. See? That's what I'm saying. It depends where you are. Here in the South, tipping is like a hit or miss. It's just the culture of the place. FOH prefers the current system where the guest pays the same total amount, but they get to pocket more of it at the expense of BOH, who don't collect tips. See, for example. And then he left an article with the title of Danny Meyer's Restaurants Will End Their No Tipping Policy, I guess. It cuts off right there. And then some woman named Carol goes, oh yeah, sure, getting let go is a much better alternative. Do us all a favor and cook for yourself. I don't have anything really to say to that. It's a dumb comment. But I did end up replying and I said, I already do. Go get let go to work for a business/company in the food industry where you will be compensated for performing the job description, and it is clear how much you will make monthly or bi-weekly. And then this person says, so it is justified because you know what the manager/owner is not paying. You wrote out the justification yourself. To which I said, negotiation needs to exist. If you cannot have that conversation with the manager, then they're working for a shitty business that should be allowed to fail without workers. It's that simple. Evidently, I have more replies. You have all kinds of excuses for not tipping. The fact is, you are just too selfish to look beyond your own ugly nose. Anytime you engage in any way with a restaurant, somebody invested in preparing your food for you. You should be ashamed. Be better. And then to that, I said, if I'm going to reply to this one, I'm going to make one exception. I'm going to say, if I know that my tip is going to the cook and only the cook, the one actually performing the labor by handling my food safely and putting it together nicely, then I'll tip. It would be funny if this person goes, that's been a really old topic that should be a dead topic or something. Why am I replying now? I'm gonna be like, well, maybe because I like to live a life outside of Twitter. You know, Twitter is not my life. Like, I have so much better to do. I go there for entertainment and to occasionally leave some responses that may and usually do not get replies, and I'm honestly not looking for replies. I do it more as my own personal journal. I can eventually use the search button and be like, what have I tweeted in regards to, say, Dusty, and then it'll come up. But yeah, I have always said that the only person in the world I would be willing to tip is the cook, because they're actually the ones who need to know about food safety and cleanliness of the kitchen and all that. If anything, they have the hard work. That tough job belongs to them, and they need to be hygienic and all that, not the fucking server. I can serve myself. That's the point. Someone else says something that I agreed with, which I haven't gotten around to saying. Include the goddamn taxes too while we're at it. And I have always agreed with that. I'm like, why is it that in this fucking country we see that something is $3.19 on the sticker, but when we go to the register, the price changes? And that's also true for body care items. Body care items get taxed differently from food items. Food items don't get taxed as much, but I wonder if buying food from a grocery store that you have to prepare is taxed less than buying food that's already made. You know how you can't use food stamps on hot food? Well, I wonder if that has to get taxed differently. So to that, I said, exactly, thanks. I just expressed this on another tweet on this thread that also adds to the extortion feel. And then this person left a pretty interesting reply. He said, if you tried this crap at any of the restaurants I've worked at, the staff would follow you out to the parking lot and slash your tires. To which I replied and didn't get a reply for, that would make my day. They can ruin their lives with a criminal record. They can try killing me too, so they don't see the light of day again. And then, interestingly enough, 3 people agreed with what I said. So, see what I mean? Don't know why anyone would be a server. And then I said, the tip I wouldn't mind paying to be completely honest, is the cook, chef. Especially if I customize my order and they really nail it. It still would remain a totally voluntary thing. And then, let's see, what else? Let me find my place again on this thread because it got really nasty later on. And then this stupid girl says, you are the face of there's food at home, please never go to a restaurant again. I said, if it makes you feel better, I do eat at home, but just because I primarily eat at home doesn't mean I cannot have an opinion on shit pay, such as tipping. And then she goes, it does not make me feel better since you use primarily. That is an example of a person who simply does not know how to engage. And then I said, I am a consumer and will indulge based on my needs and pay the expected menu price, period. Maybe the cook should be the one getting tipped if I'm impressed. And then this person says, you're punishing an individual waiter for your anger at the system. Pretty foul. I didn't reply to that, but someone replied to that saying, no, the employer is punishing them. The employer should pay out when people don't tip. And then that same person said, just say you don't understand how tip outs work. And then another person replied with, why should we need to? And then that person, Nora, says, to exist in society without being a turd. And then this Bichu person, which is the person who said, why should we need to? Says, I coexist just fine with others without needing to know every aspect of their work. It's entitled to expect strangers to know and care about the intricacies of a system you work under. This is true. It's like, I am a passenger of an airplane. Let's forget that my dad and brother are pilots, because even though they're pilots, it doesn't mean that I'm qualified to operate one of those metal birds. Do I need to understand aviation and how planes fly and the laws of motion involved in it for me to become a passenger of an airliner? No, right? Why would I need to understand what's involved in the system of restaurants who have servers who get paid from tips? I don't give a fuck. I just don't. It doesn't concern me. I'm not working there. Why would I want to stress out my mind? I can learn something out of courtesy in some cases, but I cannot be expected to understand the way of the world everywhere. And if I do that here in the US, I would need to learn about Canada, I would need to learn about Greenland, Iceland, every other place in the world. Realistically, we cannot keep up with everything. And then Sherback, that person who left the just say you don't understand how tip outs work, is saying, just say you have never had a friend that works in food service. And then Bichu says, you say these things like it's a dig. Who gives a fuck if your friend works in food service or a desk job? And then that stupid person goes, just say you've never had a friend. And then Bichu goes like, good old ad hominem. You love to see it. And then that Sherback idiot left a crying face. That's the end of that thread. Let's see what else we got. Okay, so to that Michael guy from earlier who left the you got that backwards comment, I said, I agree, trust me. But while on that note, okay, let's all start doing that. The business is shitty for underpaying, no dispute. But what about the support I was doing to a potential small business? I'm supposed to spend my money out to support the economy. Are we prepared to suffer the consequences of us stopping our spending in those places? That's where my other comment about are we prepared to deal with that problem comes from. But unfortunately, it shows that it has a reply, but I can't find that reply. So it probably got lost somewhere. Okay, so I got to the point where I said maybe servers will need to suffer for a little while, and I'm sincerely sorry, but that'll bring the change. And I left the shrug emoji. Okay, so this other person, Purple Olive, they call themselves, is saying, in the US, grand total is not printed on bill and you know it. The grand total is bill plus tip. You talk like a victim. I am a victim. When, if what you say is true, it is you who have been wronging tipped employees for years and forcing people to cover your ass on group orders forever. Dishonorable cheat. And for his information, I never have a group order, and I always order online, and I don't eat at the restaurant. I'm the one who's the victim. I'm getting robbed because I am paying the restaurant price as if I'm being served, as if I'm consuming water in the bathroom to wash my hands, flushing the toilet, napkins, the straws, the cups that need to be washed, the tray, that needs to be washed, all of that. I'm not. I'm the one suffering from extortion here. Why is that so hard to understand? Dishonorable cheat. So I decided to fuck with this person and I said, so if someone with a $50 bill tips $2 and another person with a $50 bill tips $10, are you still gonna be mad at the $2 tipper? I am the victim as a consumer. I should be able to count on knowing exactly what will be expected of me under any circumstances. And the reason I say it like that is because, again, I go out prepared on how much I'm willing to spend. If you tell me from the get-go, hey, at this place you can expect to spend $50, but my budget is $30, you should tell me from the very beginning what my absolute cost is going to be so that I can decide whether or not I'm going to consume at this place. I may change my mind. I may want to take my business somewhere where my $30 budget is going to be more welcome than the $50, $20 overshooting of my budget that I'm not willing to spend. Give the consumer options. But you're telling me that I have to settle for that. And I'm not okay with that. That's a really shitty system too. That you have the menu and then, okay, you see the prices on the menu, but in your head, you have to be doing the math of how much you're consuming because you're being charged as the service progresses, because that's what they're trying to do. In some cases, they're trying to upsell you things like alcohol and all that. And I'm like, no, I know exactly what I came here for. I could be perfectly content with servicing myself, just going to the register saying, I came here for a burger and a side of a salad, and I'm drinking water. That's it. Once you put my drink and my food together, call me to go get it and I'll sit myself. Period. And if there are no more seats available or if mine gets taken, I'll take it home. I'll eat it outside. Or here's some news. I have a car. My car has a seat. I eat there all the time. You guys have seen it. I'm literally the most flexible person you'll probably meet in your entire life. And then someone goes, I think the real victim is the employee who isn't making a living wage because you refuse to tip despite knowing the current tipping system and culture in place. If you can't afford or don't care to tip, then don't eat out, cook your own food. This is showing that there are more replies, but I'm not seeing it. What is expected of you is for you to tip your server. Stop playing games with people's jobs. Does the spit in your food add flavor to it? I'm gonna say to that person, I hope I catch someone spitting on my food so that I can throw them in jail and then they'll have real problems on their hands besides me not tipping. You know what? Since I already left that reply to someone else, I'm not going to repeat myself, so never mind. I'm gonna let them feel and think that they won because I haven't replied. Mad at both, disgusted by $2 robber. Only fair thing in US to do is pay up no matter how much you disagree, or make food at home. If you think of yourself as a virtuous independent thinker, you are wrong. You are a sly rip-off artist who I suspect enjoys abusing people's trust. See, this person literally doesn't know me. If I enjoyed abusing people's trusts, you know what I would do? I would demand money from you guys here on the channel. When have I ever asked you guys to leave me a donation? When have I asked you to subscribe to my channel? When have I asked you to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and maybe support my Patreon, which I created a long time ago, but I never managed it? See what I mean? These people don't know me, and because they don't know me, that's why they cannot offend me. And anybody who is online, whoever suffers from harassment and bullying and stress from being online, I feel so sad for them because I'm like, the only reason this is hard for you is because you're getting offended easily. It's because you're getting stressed out easily. Don't let what people say affect you. Only worry about those people in like your inner circle. But I fear that sometimes people try to let too many people into their inner circle, and I think that's when you lose control. Just limit it to something like a mother, a father if you get along with them, a boyfriend, a spouse, something like that, your children, especially when they get older, and maybe a particular family member who may have been influential, a teacher who may have been influential, who may be serving as your mentor figure, a manager who may be serving as a mentor, something like that. Limit it to maybe 7 people. 5 people who you feel you absolutely have to check in on, 7 people to be like I can manage a couple more, and maybe 10 to be the absolute maximum. But then those in your inner circle of like 3 to 4 people, those are the ones who have like a degree of power and authority over you. But just know that those people can lose that power. Don't be afraid of taking that privilege away from these people if this person all of a sudden becomes no longer good for you. But people like this, they can't affect me. They can insult me all that they want, but I am a virtuous independent thinker. But I think that people have forgotten how rebellions work. All I know is that I know that me as a consumer, my power comes from my money, and I do not wish to spend it on things that I'm not agreeing with. It is very rare that I leave donations too. When people ask me, hey, would you like to donate to da 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 da? I usually say no. And I like to give in other ways. And then someone goes mad at 20%. Lol, it's that Sherback guy again. People goes, you are right, I am very slow today and unfocused, and this person made me mad. I made you mad. If my thought, I'm gonna make another exception, made you mad, you have attitude issues. I just stir up some shit. Why you mad at the 20% tipper? Mistake on my part, I didn't take in what the percentage would be on $50. Thanks for pointing it out. $10 on $50 or more than fine. We all make mistakes, lol, especially when it is nap time, but we are staying up because we are too busy being offended by an internet idiot to put the phone down. I am still up after getting second wind. I will try to not get involved with any more simple math problems though. I'm gonna say I'm not an idiot. I'm someone confident in expressing herself. You should learn to express dissent respectfully. And for the love of God, get your attitude checked. Eye roll emoji. I hope they block me. Let's see. You are the one stiffing the server and somehow you think you are the victim. How is he stiffing them? I love Bichu. Like, he's the person closely resembling someone who's having a ability to think. And unfortunately, nobody replied to him. Oh, this one was a good dumbass reply. Someone said to me, way to read the room. And I said, I don't give a damn who this offends. Fight to become hourly wage workers or even salaried to the extreme. Nobody is genuinely happy with the tipping system except for when they're overserved with tips. Underserved tips will continue to exist. And then he or she goes, yeah, you best take it out on the servers. I'm sure they could get better jobs if they just tried. You sound like a trust fund kid in the worst way. I'm like, you don't know me. I literally come from absolute rock bottom. And because I come from that level of society is why I know this tipping system that creates uncertainty, both for consumer and worker, needs revision. And then another person goes, the original person, Marian, did not reply to me. But then a random person comes, so you hurt people with the least power in the system. But this person doesn't understand that all the power I have is the power to decide to consume somewhere. That's it. I'm not gonna reply to any of that. But see, this person saying that I'm a trust fund kid, maybe they didn't reply to me because they're embarrassed that they said that, and I revealed, which I don't have to do, but I decided to, that, I'm from like the bottom of society. I have nothing. I come from nothing. And then someone said, that Miriam guy said to me, added a second part to my original tweet about why I don't tip. I also said, but also the reason I don't tip is because usually I order online to go pick it up myself using my car and taking it home to eat. I'm not using your tables nor restroom, among other miscellaneous things. I'm actually the one losing. And then Marianne says, oh, carry out is different. No need to tip. And then I said, exactly. I'm very seldom a sit-in customer, so when I do carry out, I'm missing out on the full service that would justify the tipping. And then he or she replies to me telling me literally not the conversation, to which I said, literally try thinking critically, please. And after that, they fucked off. They didn't leave a reply to that. And then, let's see. This person... Oh, here's the rest of that thread by LB from earlier. I left a reply to the person who said that their wife made $70,000 or something crazy. I said, non-food items are taxed more, for example. That's what makes it feel like tipping is extortion. And then LB says, understand, it's just not the server's fault in this situation. And she left the prayer emoji. And I said, trust me, I do. I'm on the server side, believe it or not. I just want them to start fighting for a better pay. Do away with tipping and let's create a fair payment system that's consistent so you will know at least each week what you will be taking home. Stability. And then LB says, yes, this makes perfect sense. I agree. And then I said, also look at it this way. I'm already showing support for the business solely by being a customer. I could have taken my business anywhere else or eat at home, but I spent that money out. I'm helping in my own way, even if it's not directly the server. And then this person called Reality Bites, who left the reply of $70,000, goes, maybe you're helping the business, but you are harming the server. You're expecting a powerless server to change the system by giving the business every bit of revenue that they expect. No, The way that the server should fight is by refusing to serve, refuse to go for that job, boycott the job, state why, but make this a nationwide effort. And that's how we get results. But unfortunately, like I expressed earlier, there are people who may not find that appealing because they happen to work at a place where the clientele may be the kind of clientele that may drop big bucks. So at this point, it's a conflict of values. I don't have control over that. Let's see. And then after that, I believe I retired from the topic and I stopped leaving replies. Yep, that's the end. That's not necessarily the end of the thread, I'm afraid. Another tweet that I saw, I'm not finding it now, but someone called me an asshole and all that, which again, it doesn't offend me. And in a sense, don't misunderstand me, but you guys know how in the Bible Jesus was never described as someone pleasant. He was described as someone scandalous. Sometimes I like that I can go somewhere and rile up people's shit because I feel like I'm not comparing myself to him, of course, but I feel like I'm doing my job because it's like, hey, I'm inviting you to show me what and who you really are, and who knows, maybe you'll be able to change my mind, but it's very unlikely that you will, and understand why. Let's see. Let me see if I can find more responses. Oh, someone else said that they do the same. They replied to me saying same, that they don't tip. But for some reason, nobody, absolutely nobody, responded to him. I want to say something. I want to be like, I took the heat for you, brother. I'm gonna leave him alone. Thinking back to the crew I worked with in our small college town and how nearly all of us were paying our way through college without the tips, most of us wouldn't have graduated. Just curious, how did you get through college? I'm not going to answer that question. The real answer to that question is that I didn't go to college. So I didn't have that bill to worry about. That's another thing, guys. Again, if you engage in a conversation with me, be prepared to hear the point from infinite numbers of angles. But you gotta understand that me, as someone from the bottom of society, but also someone from the bottom of society who has made decisions to not complicate my life, when the pandemic happened, I was the most chillaxed person ever. I didn't have college bills to worry about, whereas everybody was freaking out, begging the government for assistance and all that. And I said to myself, if I don't have a medium to pay for college, I'm not going to be involved in that. The only debt I have had has been my car, and it's because I knew that I had a plan to handle it and I could anticipate when that was going to be over. But with fucking college, the interest rates on that, I just wasn't interested. And you guys know how I turned out to be. College was preparing me for something complex that I ended up not indulging in. So why would I go to college if I knew that I wanted to live a simplistic life? I didn't want a career. I'm not gonna say that. I hope when servers recognize you, they refuse to serve or give you a bare minimum service since you don't tip. It's what you and anyone dining with you deserve. Until the laws change and service are paid fairly, we tip. Those who don't are scum of the earth and should always eat at home or only go out for fast food. What I wish I had was the option to go to the register and be like, hello, I would like a burger, side of salad, water, eat in, and for them to call my receipt number, and I come up and get my food. I want the option of opting out of a server. There are places that offer self-checkout or a human cashier option. I want a similar restaurant option. And what a gem of a human you are to wish harm on myself. Just because whatever feeds your soul. Anyway, a lady who calls herself Adele Dazim goes, okay, Cheapo McBroadcast, may every meal you eat have a lot of spit in it. See, this is what I'm saying. These people think they're so righteous that they're wishing harm on me, because wishing ill on myself makes you a better person. Am I right? Am I right? Go to church and cleanse your rotten soul. That's all I'm saying, but I just want to say bitch. And then this person goes like, you are a garbage person. And see, I'm not going to say anything to that one. You are a cheapskate and probably wonder why you get terrible service on return visits. Stick to fast food, as you are not wanted in any restaurant where the server goes out of their way to ensure you enjoy your experiences. With this attitude, you must be quite lonely. Not at all, actually, because me eating in at a restaurant is rare. I value home-cooked meals more. The places that I used to frequent had people mature enough to be respectful of me not tipping, because I pretty much couldn't justify tipping on inexistent service. Well, then you a shit emoji. Please do not go out to eat or order for pickup. If you cannot afford the tip for the meal, stay home. Why you think your feeling of extortion should outweigh hard workers making less than minimum wage? Their earned tip indicates a selfish, absorbed jerk. I'm literally paid minimum wage as well. I just happen to be an hourly worker. I'm pretty much right there with them in the underpaid sector for all my efforts. Shrug. I know I said I wouldn't reply to some, but some I just want to. You are an asshole, someone says. You are a cheap piece of shit. And then you shouldn't go out to eat, then you can afford the food, but not to pay for the service. They're literally serving and waiting on you. Pieces of shit. Nobody is serving on me if I'm ordering online to pick up using my own car, and me stepping out to go inside and get it. I'm missing out on the full service. So no, I'm not tipping. And you see, what's sad is that these people jumped so quick into attacking me for not being a tipper that they don't realize that me as a consumer at restaurants is limited to online orders. Online orders that I drive my own car to go get, step out of the vehicle to go pick up, and then take with me. I am not being serviced in any other way except for the cook and then them packing it and then me taking it. That's it. How is tipping under that circumstance justified? Well, there you guys have it. This turned out to be a very long and painful video. I apologize for that. I apologize to myself because this is gonna take a while to edit. But I hope that you guys enjoyed hearing me being grilled by very rude people on Twitter. But at the same time, that reference about Jesus that I was bringing up earlier, I brought the worst out in people. I look at it as these people also have some things in themselves to evaluate, especially those that wished harm and ill on me and my friends and family and all that. So I exposed you, and they have no idea that I did that. I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. And of course, you guys, share your thoughts. Because this is not going to be something that I'm like, I want you to be on my side or I want you to disagree with me and roast me for it. It's like, let's just have a conversation, a peaceful, calm, collected, mature one, like we always do. Because fortunately, those of you guys who have been hanging out in my channel for long term, I value you guys because some of you have actually given me great advice that I have been able to apply into my life and it made it better. And this is the whole point of this channel now. Besides being my journal's replacement, I have been able to meet a handful of you who mean a lot to me, even when you guys understandably may be a little rough on me sometimes. You know, like I'm not afraid of that. Say things how you really mean to say them, here and anywhere you go, even if the consequences are not pleasant. But yeah, I'm never going to be bullied into submission. Never. And I'm not going to be intimidated by people insulting me. I'm just not. Editing Zam here. So the one thing that I didn't see, I don't recall seeing, was there was this guy from Europe, if I remember right, who said that when he visits America, he doesn't intend to leave any tips because in Europe, that's not a problem that they have. And I remember telling myself when I saw that that's exactly the kind of system that I wish to see here, but people don't get it. And of course, some people were giving him crap for that. It's a shame that I couldn't find that comment, but I just know that it was a relief that there are folks out there living in circumstances where they don't have to worry about this. Because for some reason, this whole tipping topic is one that really gets people riled up. And I mean, deep down, I get it. I understand the issue, but at the same time, I feel like we need to be able to redirect that energy into the cause, but properly. But trying to go off on someone online just doesn't make sense to me. I wish I could have found that comment because I know that it turned into a mini thread, but I feel like they may have being silenced from the topic, or maybe they ended up deleting their tweets. But yeah, so I just know that there were a handful of people who are on the same boat with me, and we should be allowed to exist and not be, first of all, disrespected for our way of being a consumer. Like, who are you to say what we're supposed to do and what not? But yeah, that is the end of Regal Editing Zam. This was a terrible idea because now it gets tangled in my hair. Because this doesn't belong to me. Crowns do not belong on top of my head. Editing Zam here again. So the other thing I just remembered that I said, but I couldn't find it, is for the people who say that they leave generous tips, I told to someone, you know what you should do? Since you're so concerned about people being tipped, and clearly you have a very good economic standing, if you're really that concerned, if you're going to leave $15 as tip, How about if you chip in an extra 5, make it a $20 tip. So that way, anybody who skips out on the tip is accounted for. You have that power. You could be doing that instead of judging people who don't tip when you don't know the circumstances surrounding their inability to tip. Just be out there, be the hero, be the savior, take care of it quietly, but take care of it yourself. Why not? Since you're such a giver, since you have so much control over the situation, since you care so much, then go ahead and resolve the issue of those who don't tip. Leave extra tips since you're so rich so that those who aren't as rich as you to tip are accounted for. Might as well.